Hey everyone, have I here been a video on Dragon Ball Z Dokkan Battle. In this video, we're going to be doing our full breakdown and of course some fun little team builds for the Limit Breaker Full Power Super Saiyan 4 VEGITO Xeno. So with that, if you're new to my channel, like, subscribe, comment below, do all that good stuff. Let's go ahead and dive right in. Now, I'm not going to be doing every single new Super Dragon Ball Heroes unit for a full breakdown with some team builds. Now, I might do Rose, but I think we all know the VEGITO unit and the team that it can actually build can possibly be a top team. So of course I wanted to do this full breakdown here. So let's dive into it, and let's of course start off with the card arts. I love looking at the card arts here, and I think both of them look incredible. I think all the units, the new units, for some apparent reason, the SSR all look better than the TUR. I think in this case scenario, there could be a case that, you know, people like the TUR better, but because of the angle, looking down, things of that nature. But if you look at all of them, it's like the majority is like SSR is incredible, TUR is like, okay, it's cool, but that SSR is just rocking. Like if you look at the Limit Breaker Broly, you look at the Black and Blue Vegeta, you look at really all of them, it's very, very strong. Like the Transformation Super Saiyan 3 Rose, right? That's probably the best one, but the SSR for the Rose looks incredible as well. So anyway, I digress. Both card arts are great. You gotta love that Limit Breaker aura. And let's go ahead and move on to the stats. Now, when you look at the stats and the information for this unit here, I did a full breakdown as well. I'll quickly go through this one. But the biggest issue, I would say, is the HP and attack stat. You're looking at 13.5 and 14.7 respectively, right? So those are very, very low numbers for really any kind of unit that is like a highlighted featured unit. Yes, it's not a Dokkan Festival exclusive unit, it's not an LR, but it is highlighted as a top tier unit. So those are very, very low numbers. They make it up for the passive skill and things of that nature, but ultimately, you know, I'm not sure why they dropped it so low. So the defense is still respectable at 11-1. But again, overall, in general, when you're running a team, you're going to be missing out on a lot of HP. Because when you think about like some of these other units, you're like 18,000, 20,000 HP. 13,000 is incredibly, incredibly low. So, but again, they make up here at the rest of the stats. And starting with the leader skill, it is a very interesting leader skill. I think they could have made it tremendously better if they just added one more thing, and that's the 200% boost here. It is Dragon Ball Heroes Grade 8 Power Fused Fighters at 170%, and only the crossover category for you to boost up to 200%. If they just would have added anything else on here, would have made this team a lot more flexible, and I really wish they ended up doing that. But, you know, we're stuck with this, but it's a triple single leader skill. And but the teams that you can still build is going to be very, very strong. So the super attack, the Galactic Spirit Sword, is raises attack for 1 turn, causes immense damage to the enemy. Yes, it doesn't have defense, but you kind of see why with the passive skill there. So pretty simplistic super attack. I think I saw that this is running at 160% super attack, which is one of the highest that you can get as the multiplier. So it's a really, really high start there. But again, the stat for the attack is very low. Now, the passive skill, the sword that cuts through darkness, you do have an interesting animation here. It gives you an incredible boost, right? You have crit 30%. You have reduction of damage 30%, but it is only for 6 turns. So you want to hurry up and max out that, you know, crit ability, and then max out that damage reduction. And I think you can do most of the fights that way. So you do have a nice base boost here at Ki +3, attack and defense 200%. Again, with the stats being low, it's not as impressive, but the defense is still good because you're at 11,000, which is respectable. The plus additional attack and defense 150% when performing the super attack, and then plus an additional attack and defense 100%, and a great chance of launching an additional super attack when there's another grade 8 power or crossover category ally, or an enemy, right? So this is going to be easy because generally if you're going to run a 200% team, you are going to run, you know, at least all crossover, because that is all 200% there. So, and getting an additional super attack and the stat boost here is very, very strong. So you want to make sure that that does happen. And now you're able to boost up the hidden potential with additional attack there. So you now can have the ability to do 3 super attacks here and do quite a bit of damage because of the crit benefit. Now, This is only having one grade 8 power crossover category ally attacking the same turn or enemy, but if you have all attacking the same turn, you're going to get an incredible 40% to crit and then a 30% to damage mitigation. So that's 70% great chance of crit, and then you have 60% damage mitigation. Really, really strong. But again, it's only going to last for 6 turns, so you gotta hurry up. Now, you do have a active skill here, the Galactic Eternal Sword. It greatly raises attack temporarily and causes ultimate damage to enemy, and then and within the turn activated, all attacks become crit, which isn't really huge because again, you're looking at 70% crit in the first 6 turns, so yeah, you get the extra 30% as a guarantee. Now, you're able to do this, can be activated when all allies attacking the same turn are crossover, and starting from the 3rd turn from the start of the battle, or from the 6th turn from the start of the battle. So pretty easy enough to go ahead and get this active skill off. Link skills, pretty good link skills for a Super Dragon Ball hero character, right? Super Saiyan, Shocking Speed, Prepare for Battle, Power Bestowed by God, Fierce Fighter, Saiyan Roar, and Fierce Battle. You are also on a bunch of different categories. You have Patara, Full Power, Time Travelers, Dragon Ball Heroes, Final Trump Card, Battle of Wits, Grade 8 Power, Defenders of Justice, you normally don't see that, Time Limit, Accelerated Battle, Power Beyond Super Saiyan, and then Fused Fighters. So the problem here is you do want to run Grade 8 Power and Crossover, and if they don't have those types of units on that team, this unit does become a lot lackluster. So anyway, those are the stats there. I didn't want to go too deep into it, but I pretty much went over as a normal breakdown. Now, speaking of links, your best link partner is going to be, of course, the EZA Super Saiyan 4 Vegito. They link up incredibly well, and of course the Vegito also, the EZA Vegito supports the Limit Breaker Vegito as well. So best partner, and then that rotation is going to be absolutely incredible. So speaking about rotations, and let's go ahead and talk about teams here. So let's go ahead and look at the initial team that I would run here, and that's going to be a more defensive oriented team at 200%. So you're looking at Limit Breaker Vegito as the running in the first position, even though you do get a boost after super attack. With that 60% damage mitigation for your first 6 turns, you're going to be just fine. Along with that, again, I mentioned before, the EZA Super Saiyan 4 Vegito, that's going to be best rotation there. And then I actually put in the Gohan as a second rotation because that Gohan is more consistent when it comes to defensive, and even though they don't link incredibly well, they still link well enough so that both of them are going to generally do fine. Speaking of damage reduction and then the ability to have a nice defensive team here, I am running Goku on here, but you do have to watch out. You don't want to bring another extreme class unit because you might have a goofy rotation and then you end up in a big tough spot because he loses that damage mitigation he has because he's only getting that damage mitigation with super class characters. So that's the reason why I also brought another super class character in the Super Saiyan 3 Goku, and then the support unit as a super int Pan here. So I think this is a really nice team, all super class and fairly usable. Again, focusing, making sure that that Goku has that damage mitigation that it gets from super class being in the same rotation. So you do have another option though, right? You can actually bring extreme class units as a defensive mechanic, and you have 2 very strong defensive units on here in the Metal Cooler and then also the Rosé. Now, I do bring, in my opinion, the better support unit than Pan, and that is the EZA Dark Demon Goddess. Demon Goddess? Yeah, Dark Goddess or Demon Goddess Toa. So Thickness Toa here. She is, I think, a better support unit, but now you have a floater spot for extreme class units there. But it'll do fine, right? It'll do fine, and and a reason why I don't have Fu as an option as an alt is because Fu is going to be more or less probably for that Rosé team, but more for extreme class in the main rotation. As you can see here, you have super class on here, so the Toa is all types gets her boost there, so she's incredibly strong as a support unit. Now you do have another option as running full support, right? So you can even count Vegito as that support there, the EZA Vegito, but you have Toa, you have Thickness of Time, you have Pan, and you're going to run a very, very strong supportive team. Now, do you want to run this on endgame? Probably not, but you could rip through Super Battle Road or something of that nature fairly easily with something like this. So, the other team that I would say most people will probably run a lot of is probably going to be Grade 8 Power. Now, when you have Grade 8 Power, you don't have a support unit. Of course, I'm just being full technical here and running all Grade 8 Power, but you can easily just replace like that Bardock over there, Super Saiyan 4 Bardock, and just, you know, put in a support unit if you wanted to. Now, I did put in the Brolys down there, and I think the Brolys down there are incredibly, or at least the EZA Broly is incredibly strong. I think the Int one, I talked down on it. A lot of people are telling me he's actually not as bad as you think he is. He works out fine as he builds up. I go, okay. I don't have him rainbowed yet, but when I have him rainbowed, I'll go ahead and test a little bit more on him. But I still think the main rotations are still going to be with the EZA Vegito and the Gohan there. It makes the most sense. Now, you probably could bring in Bardock, or not Bardock, but Broly over here in the main rotation if you wanted to. But I think defensively, it's better on that main rotation there. So now you do have an interesting option to run Grade 8 Power, but at 170% with a lot of different other options, right? So you can bring in the Super Saiyan 4 Goku, the Dokkan Festival exclusive LR. You can bring in the 7-year anniversary Goku Vegeta. You can also bring in the Kid Gohan on here as well. Now again, they're only going to run at 170%, but if you want to have a little bit of diversity within your team, you're going to run something like this. So, moving on to some more random teams here, and that's running at a full 170 or 170 options that you can run. And that's having the main rotation at running at 170, which you generally wouldn't do, right? But you can bring in LR Piccolo and before mentioned LR Super Saiyan 4 Goku, Full Power Goku, the 7-year anniversary, and then Kid Gohan on there. So you can run those on main rotations if you wanted to. But again, I think it wouldn't be as, what's the word I'm looking for, as efficient. Because at 170 at main rotation, you're not going to really do much. But there's still incredible units that you can actually run. Now, you have a different variation here that you can run here, and this is where you could bring Fu in, is actually run the Limit Breaker Vegito on floaters, and then you're going to bring in extreme class units on here. So, of course, you have the extreme class fused fighters when it comes to the Rosés on there, right? So you have the new Limit Breaker, or not Limit Breaker, Time Breaker Rosé with the EZA Broly. They actually link up very well together. And then, of course, you have the Zamasu with the Transformation Zamasu or the LR Rosé on the team. And you would think like the LR Rosé would link up well with the Time Breaker Rosé, but they actually don't. So you actually would rather run that as a 170% unit on that first rotation there. So you could run that version. You could bring Fu in at this point in time, or you can just leave it as Thickness Demon Goddess Toa. That works out fine as well. So now, like, you can bring in like Cooler on here on a specific situation, even the Broly and Broly if you don't have Rosé. But I think ultimately this is kind of an interesting, fun team that you can run. So probably very similar to a alternate Rosé team that you can run as well. So. But anyway, that's pretty much about it. You know, you guys know I don't like show other teams. I just focus on the teams that they lead on. But again, I think your best bet is to run more of a Dragon Ball Heroes crossover type team. That's going to help you out the best. I think overall this is going to be the most efficient one and defensive oriented one on here, and of course you can even bring maybe possibly this one as well. So anyway, hopefully you guys enjoyed this video here. If you are new to my channel, like, subscribe, comment below, do all that good stuff. Thank you all for watching. Keep on Dokkaning. We'll catch you next time. Later.